In this video, I want to be talking about the exercise that I think you should be doing in 2023. I'm going to pick out the 5 most common exercises that I'm asked about and potentially discuss some of the positives or some of the risks of injury that may be associated with those sports so that you can watch out for those. So let's go. Thanks for checking out the channel. My name's John. I'm the head therapist here at John W Sports Injury. If you are new to our channel, we want to be doing 3 simple things for you. Help you understand your body so you can get rid of any pain, injury, weaknesses, so you can go on and hit those health and well-being goals. And that's exactly what we're going to be talking about. At the time of recording this video, it's the start of 2023. It's the time when people flock to exercise with those New Year resolutions and goals for 2023, which is absolutely fantastic. But what I want to be talking about is the exercise that I think you should be doing in 2023. So the exercise that I think that you should be doing is the one that's going to work best for you. So I'm sorry for that slightly ambiguous answer, but what I mean by that is we need to find an exercise that is going to be enjoyable and that is going to be doable on a continued basis for you. So what I don't want to do is set one exercise as being the best preferable exercise for you to do that isn't one that you're going to enjoy. It's not one that's going to be practical for you to do. So what I'm going to do is talk through 5 of the most common exercises that get discussed with me at this time of the year and talk about what might be some of the injuries and things to watch out for if you think that that's the type of exercise that you want to be getting going in 2023. But ultimately, my answer around what is the best exercise is the one that is going to work best for you. The exercise that you are going to enjoy the most, because that's going to allow you to keep up the consistency that is truly required to get any benefit from that exercise. But let's talk about some options for you. So if you are looking to get going and increase your exercise load throughout 2023, first of all, fantastic. Let's talk about what might be the right sport or exercise for you to do. First up, we're going to talk about swimming. Now, in truth, with my sports therapist hat on, it's very hard for me to have any negatives against swimming. It's non-weight bearing, it's good cardio, it's got good total body involvement and workout and things. You only need to look at an elite swimmer to see that as an exercise it does a lot of good. So really, it's a great one to get going on in terms of reducing risk of injury whilst getting cardio and strength training benefits. I suppose the downside is it's perhaps at least accessible of the exercises that we're talking about. But apart from that, it's an exercise that I think you'll find sports therapists, physiotherapists are all a big fan of, and it's usually the first exercise that we might include in somebody's rehabilitation program if we're looking to bring them back into cardio exercise for those benefits that I've discussed. So next up, let's talk about cycling. Again, another one that gets asked of me a lot. Very, very popular sport for people to get involved with. And again, there's lots of real benefits to this. Again, we don't have that kind of pounding as such. It's relatively non-weight bearing. So we get that reduction in force going through the body. It's got good cardio benefits. And also it's nice to get out in the outdoors and often an enjoyable sport. So if that's something that you think is good for you to be doing, then I would strongly encourage that. Some of the things to think about, some of the more problems that might be associated with the sport of cycling. Firstly, the repetitive nature of it can lead to certain overuse injuries. So the fact that we, in any sport where we are going at the same speed and at the same consistency over and over again, then that can lead to certain overuse injuries. So something like cyclist knee, which is pain on the outside of the knee. But also the main problems that we see associated with it are the fact that we're in a relatively fixed posture for an extended period of time. So you want to be making sure that you're looking at doing things like stretching out your chest, because you're often in this closed chest position. We often have a lot of hip flexion going on as well. So making sure that you're stretching out your hip flexors as well. But my key thing about cycling, if you are looking to embark upon more cycling or to start cycling in 2023, I would encourage you to get a proper setup at a local reputable bike store, because getting that setup can be fundamental in making sure that you've got a good ergonomic setup ready to achieve your goals in cycling without hindering your body. So next up, we're going to move on to running. So again, possibly the most accessible of the sports that we're going to talk about. And in fact, really, it is, in the sense that we essentially need a pair of trainers, a shorts and t-shirt, and away we go. So it's great to do, right? Well, I'm always going to be a little bit biased because I enjoy my running and long distance running. But it is a thing that we can do. But you will be shouting at me, I'm sure, oh, but running's bad for your knees. And this is perhaps a fair point, as it is generally considered to be bad for joints and things. Actually, the good news is a lot of the research goes against this, and actually it can be beneficial for reducing things like osteoarthritis as we go through the aging process. But that would be amiss of me to not say that we don't see a lot of injury related to running. So if you are looking to take on running, what you need to consider is we need to make sure that you've got a strong aerobic base first of all. So start slow, start easy. The big problems that we see happen as a result of running are people who try to take on too much mileage too quickly. And what we would typically see is problems in the lower limbs through running. So suffering with pain either over the top of the knee, patellar tendonitis, sometimes termed jumper's knee, or pain on the outside of the knee, iliotibial friction syndrome, or runner's knee. Now, all of these conditions deserve a video in their own right, and if you are interested in hearing more about any of the conditions that I mentioned, I will drop some links in the description box that go through some of these injuries in more detail. But they are things to be looking out for. So if you're suffering hip, lower back pain, knee pain, or around the heels and things, then they can be typical in running. And the first thing to consider is to make sure that we're not doing too much too quickly. So running really should be a sport that is done progressively and slowly. If you are looking to embark upon more mileage, make sure that when you're running those longer runs that you're able to talk or to sing even. That's a sign that you're running at the appropriate pace and that you're not over pushing yourself. If you suddenly find that you're becoming short of breath when it's a longer run, then that's something that you need to be easing back on, and make sure you're monitoring that mileage. We have a rough rule of thumb that you don't want to be increasing by more than about 10% each week on the amount of mileage that you're doing in order to reduce the risk of injury. So that's swimming, that's cycling, that's running. Our next one is what we term HIIT training, high intensity interval training. And this is perhaps the most popular one for people to embark upon at this time of year. Typically might be done in a class environment or can also be done from home now. And it's a great exercise to really look to jack up that heart rate. So if we're looking at things like weight loss, if we're looking at things at toning or generally increasing our fitness, then HIIT training is a great way to go. Again, I think that the perhaps negatives might be the same as running to a certain extent. The clue is in the title, it's high intensity. So if it's not something that you're used to doing, what we don't want to do is jump into the high end stuff straight away. You want to be building at a comfortable level while you slowly progressively move up to that more advanced level. Typical injuries that we might see might typically be associated with the knees, the feet, or the back. And all of these things really might be linked to the fact that we have a lot of ground reaction force when we're doing high intensity training. So there might be a lot of jumping or a lot of squatting or a lot of lunging, and these things that can create quite a lot of force going through the body, and as a result can cause these types of conditions. So again, my key in avoiding these is start slowly and build your way up. And also, if you find a certain exercise to be problematic or difficult for you, it doesn't mean that you have to stop the training, because the classes can be modified. So again, if you're working with a trainer, speak to them about any problems you have, because it might be that if you're having knee problems and things like squats and lunges are difficult, the great thing about HIIT training is that it can be varied. So they can substitute that in for a upper body exercise. If you're working out at home and following an online program, same things apply. So if you know that certain exercises aggravate your symptoms, just substitute in some different exercises, carry on your training, and hopefully avoid the pain. But what I would say with any of these training, when we're discussing pain, if you are experiencing pain that becomes worse when you're doing your sport or exercise, that is your body trying to communicate with you. So any of these problems, get them checked out. And that is the surefire way of reducing the amount of time that you can't be doing your training and exercise. So once you get it checked out, then somebody can work with you and make sure that you're modifying your exercise appropriately. And the final exercise to discuss is weightlifting. So again, a popular one for people to do around this time of year. We see very busy gyms at this time of year with people looking to lift weights. And again, a great thing to do to be overall toning, to be building strength. What I would be saying, if you're about to embark upon a weight training program, make sure you really are certain about your goals. So for example, if you're looking to build mass and get bigger, the amount of repetitions and sets and type of exercises that you might be doing are actually very different if you're somebody who's looking to become more lean or to get general toning happening. So make sure if you are embarking upon a weightlifting program, you're comfortable with what you're looking to achieve and that you have the appropriate program set for you. And again, having the appropriate program available for you will help to reduce your risk of injury. Typical things that we might see around weightlifting, particularly is pain in the shoulders, pain around what we term the rotator cuff. Again, I'll link in the description some videos around rotator cuff. But if you're starting to find soreness around these shoulders, soreness around the neck and upper back, that might be a sign that we're perhaps either lifting too heavy, lifting perhaps with poor form, and that's things that want to be addressed straight away. So I hope that that's been helpful. As I said, there is no one size fits all in terms of exercises that you should be doing, because for the one person it might be that running's what they want to do and that they particularly enjoy, but the next person it might be swimming. And there are benefits and negatives to each, as I've discussed, but the key thing, and I know I keep harping on about this point, make sure it's something that you can repeat, because that is where you're going to get the benefit of exercise. It's something that you need to be investing time, but also passion into. You're going to be putting a lot of energy into your sport and exercise, so make sure you enjoy it. Let me know in the comments if there's one of those 5 that you're embarking upon, or I'd be really keen to know what's your favourite of those 5. Again, I'm at times guessing which one might be the most popular sport or exercise undertaken, but it'd be great to know your views. So drop me a comment and let me know. And if you've made it this far in the video and you found this to be interesting, smash that like button, because that still shows me that this is the type of content that you want to be seeing, and it will help others see that. And then why not subscribe if you haven't already? Hit the subscribe, hit the bell, and then I will notify you when the next video comes out. Here's another video to help you on your health and well-being journey, and I'll see you on the next video.